Hello everyone, let's learn nutrition in plant. Okay, so before going to the word nutrition, let us know the meaning of nutrients. What are nutrients? Nutrients are those which help the body to build, which help the organism to grow, which help the body to repair the damaged part of it, and it also help to carry out different life processes. Okay, those are called as nutrients. They are none other than all components of food like carbohydrates, protein, vitamin, mineral as well as fat. So all these components of food are called as nutrients. Okay, so these nutrients are required for the survival of the organism, right? For the sake of nourishment, all these nutrients are required. Now what does this nutrition mean? It is the mode of taking food by an organism and utilization of it by the body for the survival or to carry out different life processes. That is called as nutrition. Okay, we are going to focus on nutrition in plant in this chapter. Okay, in next chapter, nutrition in animals. All living organisms require food for the survival, right? So plants can prepare their own food, whereas animals and human beings, they cannot prepare their own food. Okay, so plants utilize the raw materials which are present in the surrounding, like water, carbon dioxide and sunlight, as well as minerals from the soil. Utilize these raw material and prepare its own food. Okay, so plants prepare their own food, whereas animals and human beings cannot prepare their own food. They utilize the ready-made food which is prepared by the plant. Okay, so this prepared by the plant food is utilized by animals and human beings. So these plants are called as autotrophs. Okay, auto means self, and trophs means nourishment. Okay, so whereas animals and human beings are called as heterotrophs. Okay, hetero means other, then trophs means nourishment. Okay, heterotrophs means completely animals depend on others for their food, whereas plants are called as autotrophs because they prepare their own food. Okay, so this is what the difference between autotroph and heterotroph. So what are autotrophs? The organism that prepare food themselves by using simple substances. What are heterotrophs? They depend on others for their food. Okay, example for autotrophs, plants. Example for heterotrophs, animals and human beings. Now we are going to focus on plants. Okay, nutrition in plant. Now the question arises that where the food factories in the plant located? Whether the plant prepare food in all the part of it or there are certain parts. And how do plants obtain raw material from its surrounding? And then one more question arises, that is how the transport of raw material take place in the plant, means how these raw material reach to the food factory of the plant. So we are going to get answer for this question. Let's move further. Let's find out answers for these questions now. Okay, let us deal with the concept photosynthesis. Okay, food making process in plant. Let's go with it. So, who is playing main role to prepare the food? Yes, they are leaves. Leaves prepare food for the plant. So, all the raw materials has to reach leaves, okay, to prepare the food. Now, how this transport take place? Let's know. Okay, so which is the food factory of the plant? Leaves are considered as food factory of the plant. All the raw materials compulsory has to reach these leaves to prepare the food. Okay, so water and mineral which is present in the soil is absorbed by the root, and then it is transported to the leaf part of the plant, which is food factory. How transportation take place? So there is presence of vessel in the root, stem as well as branches of the plant. So these vessel help for the passage of the water and minerals and to reach the leaves. Okay, so this is how transportation take place. Then carbon dioxide which is present in the atmosphere is taken in through the pores which are present on the surface of the leaves, as there is actually these pores are surrounded by guard cells. Such pores are called as stomata. Leaves have green color pigment called chlorophyll. This chlorophyll helps the leaves to capture the energy from the sunlight, and it can synthesize the food from carbon dioxide as well as the water. So photosynthesis is unique process we can say, because plant can prepare their own food by utilizing the sunlight, okay, or the capturing the energy from the sunlight by using carbon dioxide as well as water. So photo means what? Light. Photo means light. Synthesis means to prepare. Okay, so plant can prepare their own food in presence of sunlight by using carbon dioxide, water, and there is presence of green pigment in the leaves, that is called as chlorophyll, which help the leaves to capture the energy from energy of sunlight. So leaves contain green pigment called chlorophyll. It helps to capture the energy from sunlight. So photosynthesis is unique process we can say, right? So can you imagine life on earth without photosynthesis? It would be highly impossible, right? Because directly and indirectly we depend completely on the plant. So without photosynthesis we cannot imagine life on earth, right? So sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. So children, what happens during photosynthesis? During photosynthesis, chlorophyll containing cells in leaves in presence of sunlight use carbon dioxide, water to synthesize carbohydrate. Okay, carbon dioxide and water. So what happens during photosynthesis? Chlorophyll containing cells. Now what is cell? As we know, buildings are made up of bricks. Okay, in the same way, living organisms body will be made up of tiny units called as cells. Okay, all cells together make a living organism. Some organism will be having only one cell and some will be having more than one. They are called, if it is having only one cell, unicellular organism we called. If more than one, then we call it as a multicellular organism. Okay, so these cell will be covered by a thin membrane that is called as cell membrane, and this cell will be having centrally located spherical structure. That structure is called as nucleus. Okay, and this nucleus will be surrounded by jelly like substance that is called as cytoplasm. Okay, so this is what the cell structure. Let's come back to the process now. During photosynthesis, chlorophyll containing cells in leaves in presence of sunlight use carbon dioxide and water to synthesize carbohydrate. Okay, this is what's called as photosynthesis. So it can be represented in this way: carbon dioxide plus water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll which is present in leaves. Okay, then it gives carbohydrate plus oxygen. Okay, so this is what photosynthesis process. Okay, so during photosynthesis oxygen is released. Okay, so the presence of starch in the leaves indicates the occurrence of photosynthesis. So starch is also a carbohydrate. Beside leaves, other green part of the plant also can carry out the photosynthesis process, like green stem and green branches of the plant. Okay, like desert plant, it will be having scales or spines to reduce the loss of water by transpiration, right? So here the stem itself carry out the process photosynthesis. Children practice the structure of cell as well. As we know, living organisms are made up of tiny units called as cell. Okay, so you can just have a look over this cell, which is covered by a membrane called cell membrane, and there is presence of central spherical part or a structure that is called as nucleus, and it is surrounded by jelly substance called as cytoplasm. Okay, I hope you will practice it. Practice this diagram of a leaf as well as a section of a leaf. Okay, which is showing the presence of green pigment in the leaf. Okay, that is called as chlorophyll, as well as it shows the pore. Okay, which is covered by two guard cells, you can see, and that pore is called as stoma. You can see the stoma. Okay, as well as the guard cell. And then you practice this stoma diagram also, which is showing the guard cell. Okay, so the pore which is surrounded by guard cell. Okay, this is called as stoma, and this is stomatal opening. Okay, so children, please practice all these three diagrams. Practice this diagram also, diagram showing photosynthesis. Okay, which shows that a root absorb water and minerals from the soil, and it is transported to the food factory, that is leaf. Okay, which contain green pigment called as chlorophyll. Okay, in presence of sunlight, means this leaf captures the light energy and utilize the carbon dioxide which is present in the atmosphere and prepare the food and release the oxygen. Okay, so please practice this diagram.